Hello. I noticed that Ardupilot has a terrain following feature which seems like a really cool but also rather ambitious thing to do, and I was curious to see how well it works. And since I do have access to a fairly large area of farmland with some appreciable altitude changes, or hills in other words, that's what I did this morning, and it worked fairly well, about as well as could be expected. And it's quite well explained on this page, including all the details about how to set it up. So I won't bore you by going through all this, but I'll just point out some of the basics. What it does is it downloads from the internet some elevation data, and it stores that on the micro SD card. So you will need a micro SD card in the flight controller, and it can download it over USB, or it can actually do it while it's flying over the Mavlink. I was a little bit concerned about how that was going to work out, so I let it finish the downloading before I flew. So it will download an area of 7 or 8 kilometers. Yeah, here it is. Or 7 by 8. That's interesting. So it'll download that area around the mission or something like that. So it'll work in those modes, and I just wanted to point out this here. So this is how you set it up, and you can check in the status tab in this section here to see how far it's gotten through the terrain page loading. It was pretty quick actually. I didn't have to wait very long at all. And then there's another parameter here which specifies how far ahead in the flight path to look ahead for upcoming hills that you're going to crash into, and alter your altitude accordingly. This seemed quite long. My flight plan, which I'll show you in a second, was only about 1,400 meters long, so I set this to 500 meters look ahead. Not sure whether that was a good idea or not, but I didn't have any issues with it. So this is my mission, and the home point is in the bottom left here. This is at the old farm that I used to live at, and as you may know if you've seen some of my other videos, it goes up to a hill like this, and the farm is quite long and narrow. So I know from past experience flying my multi-rotors up this hill that the difference in altitude from my house where I used to live to the top of the hill is about 120 meters, but this starting point is about halfway there already. And just sort of looking at the hills, it seemed like it was more like about 70 to 80 meters difference from here to here in height. But if I mouse over these waypoints, you'll see they all have altitude 70. And up here, also altitude 70. So you might be thinking, that's not going to work if the altitude changes by 70 or 80 meters up here. We're going to hit something. But the way it works, as far as I can tell, is a little bit thin on the documentation, is you select this terrain option from the pull down list there, and you've got to do that before you add the waypoints, I think, and then any waypoints that you add after that, while this is selected, will be marked as a terrain following waypoint. So the altitude will be adjusted so that you should be this altitude above the terrain. That's the idea. So the normal waypoint is just relative, so this is relative to the home position 0 altitude, which is what I've been doing normally so far. I'm not sure if you have to check this verify height. I checked it and it worked, but I kind of get the feeling that this has been superseded or is not important anymore, somewhere that I read that. Anyway, everything else that I did here to set this up was the same as for any other mission, and I just had this terrain check there. That's all it was. Here we are at the location. It's a beautiful day after some pretty bad weather. At least in the daytime it's been too windy, so I'm here right at the crack of dawn. Well, not quite, but sun's up a little bit. And this is about the only time that I'm going to get that it's not going to be too windy, I think, lately, according to the weather forecast. So the plane is just warming up. Actually, this should be warmed up already, but this thing is still getting the parameters. Takes a long time. Anyway, what I was pulling out my camera here to do was to show you what this looks like from here. It's not actually that steep. I mean, not actually that much of a rise. That water tank there, I think, is roughly 50 meters above where I am. Actually, I have no idea. I'll have to check this later and maybe make a better guess, but something like 50 meters maybe. And then that hill is a few tree heights higher than that. So I'm guessing it's about 70 to 80 meters above where I'm standing at the moment. So we should see the relative altitude on the mission planner screen go from 70 meters here where I'm standing to something like about 140 meters maybe up there. I'm going to launch it and then go immediately into return to home mode just to check that it works.
Wow, lucky there was a bit of a dip there. Okay, return to home. So just let it circle a couple of times. Check that it's alright, check my video and everything. Looks like we're good to go. So,
executing navigation,
mission.
command ID number 22. Executing navigation, command ID number 16.
Altitude 63. Okay, so it's dropping. Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's 10 meters lower there at least, I'd say.
Reach waypoint number 3 distance.
Alright, turning around for the first pass. Just start taking some photos. So it's 60. Okay, it's 69 meters just as it went over me. So this spot obviously is 70 meters. That's fine. Oh, and it's going up. Perfect. 75. Not going up much. 77. $76. Okay, and just look at this now. It's not really going up as much as I thought it might. 80. 82, 83. 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. Okay, it's doing all right.
Reach waypoint number 6 distance, 1 meters. Executing command ID number 206. Executing navigation command ID number 16. Reach waypoint number 9 distance, 9 meters. Past waypoint number 11 distance, 2 meters. Reach waypoint number 13 distance, 21 meters.
Alright, well, that looks pretty good. It successfully came back down to 70 meters at this fence line here. And 63 it says at the moment. 65. So all in all, it was lower than I thought it should be, but maybe those trees are just the extra difference. It seemed like it was a good 30 meters lower than it should be. So I had my finger hovering on the button there to switch it into return to home if it looked too low. So let's see how this one goes.
Reach waypoint number 17, distance 7 meters. Reach waypoint number 19, distance 21 meters. Passed waypoint number 20, distance 70 meters. Passed waypoint number 22, distance 1 meters. Reached waypoint number 24, distance 20 meters. Reached waypoint number 25, distance 16 meters. Passed waypoint number 26, distance 26 meters. Reached waypoint number 28, distance 1 meters. Reached waypoint number 31, distance 8 meters.
Okay, that's it now. Should be just as it crosses over there is the last photo point, and then it should come back and loiter unlimited around about that point there. I think I set it to. That looks good. Jeez, it's a. You see that? There it is there. Jeez, it's a bit hard for me to see even. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so it's not loitering around here, it's loitering around that spot there. Perfect! So, it works well, about as well as you could expect. What? No, don't start that. Compass variance. No, you're fine. Yeah, it works about as well as you could expect. I wouldn't really trust it too much. I would give it a good... See, I gave it 70 meters here. I'd probably give it 100 meters above, relative, if I was going to use it for any sort of a distance or any, really big long mission or something maybe. Either that or I would just keep a really good eye on it like I was doing today. But yeah, pretty good. No complaints.